shocking blind date turnaround. How a paralyzed CEO discovered joy after 3 years in darkness. David Lawson sat alone in his sprawling San Francisco home, the silence pressing against him. 3 years had passed since the accident that left him paralyzed, and with each minute, the darkness crept deeper into his soul. Once a tech titan, his days were filled with high-stakes meetings and laughter that resonated through vibrant gatherings. Now he could almost taste the isolation, a bitterness lingering as he eyed the empty spaces where friends had once joined him. The laughter faded, replaced by the echoes of whispered memories, reminding him of the life he could no longer touch. David, his father's voice broke through his thoughts, a source of unwavering support even in this abyss. Remember, dignity comes from the struggle. Yet the weight of those words felt like another chain binding him, linking his past glories to a present dripping with despair. Would there ever be a struggle worth fighting for again? Doubt clawed at his mind, creating a cacophony of inadequacy. Questions flared. How could a man who had once commanded the respect of others allow himself to fade into anonymity? Each breath felt like surrender, underscoring just how far he had fallen. The evening brightened when his sister urged him to join a blind date. A flicker of curiosity sparked, yet fear quickly wrapped around it. He wrestled with the idea of letting someone new in. What if the laughter didn't come back? After a long inner war, he found himself seated across from Sarah, a radiant artist who seemed to glow from the inside out. The disparity between their worlds was glaring. Her vibrant spirit pierced through the fog that laced his existence. They strolled through a nearby park, the crisp evening air lifting his mood, yet that thread of dread remained, tangled tight within him. Their conversation flowed, highlighting battles against societal preconceptions. David's struggles confronted him in stark relief as she shared her fight against elitism in the art world. Yet, when her tale shifted to an injustice involving a corrupted local official who had ruined her parents' dreams, David's heart sank. The reality of her situation felt like a punch, forcing him to confront his own privilege. He had never faced such stark adversity, and he felt the overwhelm of guilt spiraling inside him. Could he, with the remnants of his influence, reach out to help her? Or was he still too entangled in his self-pity to even attempt it? Staring into her hopeful eyes, a wave of confusion crashed over him. The warmth of the evening suddenly felt stifling, each second pressing heavier. Taking on a fight felt monumental against the backdrop of his own inadequacy. He struggled to breathe, yet in the depths of that suffocation, he realized they were not simply sharing stories. They were merging their identities, an exchange of dreams, burdens, and the unending quest for justice. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The intensity grew, his internal struggle heightening the tension. Could he rise to be someone who could, even for a moment, help ease her burden? Each pounding heartbeat echoed the weight of possibility before him, an ache of potential that was both invigorating and terrifying. Caught in this whirlwind of emotion, David faced an ultimatum: to reclaim joy and purpose or surrender to despair once and for all. The night loomed heavy around them, filled with unvoiced needs and unanswered questions, leaving a flicker of hope wrapped tightly in impossible uncertainty. The next morning came slowly, as sunlight pushed through the curtains, illuminating the corners of David's room. The warmth of the sun contrasted sharply with the cold hollowness that had encased him for so long, yet the brightness startled him awake. He lingered in bed, staring at the ceiling, each thought a tangle of regret and a burgeoning sense of determination. Embers of the previous night's conversation with Sarah ignited sparks of ambition within him that he had buried deep in the ashes of despair. David recalled the glint in her eyes as she recounted her fight against injustice. Suddenly, the pent-up anger at his own circumstances transformed into something more dynamic. The thought of corruption, misery, and dreams dashed sparked a fire in him. He grabbed his phone, thumb hovering over her contact, hesitating. A moment of doubt welled up again. Would reaching out to her reinforce his inadequacies, or could it signal a resurgence, a purpose behind his struggles? He pushed the thoughts aside and committed to a decision. He needed to connect with Sarah again. Reaching beyond his solitude felt like a monumental first step, unfamiliar yet exhilarating. Determined, he sent a text suggesting a meeting at a local cafe that catered to a sense of community. After hitting send, a wave of vulnerability washed over him, an unfamiliar blend of hope and fear. The day passed as David transitioned through mundane tasks. The morning sunlight diminished, giving way to the melancholy of the afternoon. A reminder of what he had lost began to tug at his heart. Yet today was different. Each moment was laced with a new potential to reignite connections, both with himself and the world outside. The prospect of being more than just a spectator in life stirred a restless energy in him. When he finally met Sarah, he caught her vibrant smile as she approached the table, her presence radiating warmth that cut through the shadows lurking in his mind. After initial chatter about trivial matters, he took a leap. He shared his thoughts about her story, confessing that it sparked something dormant in him, a sense of responsibility, an urge to uplift others as Sarah sought to uplift her art community. "You know," he began, voice steady yet vulnerable, "I want to use the connections I have left to help amplify stories like yours. The city loves narratives like yours, and I believe I have a distinct position to provoke change. But I also need direction. Where do we start?" Surprise flickered across Sarah's face, and for a heartbeat, David feared he had overstepped. But then her eyes softened, and he saw recognition. This was the essence of struggle, sharing their battles and weaving together a tapestry of resilience. "I have ideas," she replied, the excitement bubbling. "We could work together. Your expertise could bring visibility, and my artistry can paint a new reality." The conversation shifted towards plans, strategies, and mutual goals, layered of potential building upon one another. In that moment, David recognized that bridging his experience with hers could create something profound. The gradual layers of connection were cementing, lessons from the past intertwined with a future rich with possibility. Yet, as they spoke, doubt niggled at the edges of David's fervor. Would his prior status overshadow their partnership? Could he prove himself in uncharted waters? Both exhilaration and trepidation coursed through him, but he felt balanced on a precipice, ready to leap into the unknown. He wasn't merely reclaiming his life, but reshaping it. A rebirth coated in uncertainty, yet glimmering with essence. David didn't realize how lost he had been until he tasted sincerity in this collaboration. But as they brainstormed more, one thought circled ominously. A new adversary lurked on the horizon, holding truths about the corruption Sarah lamented. The time had come to face that darkness directly, and in the midst of burgeoning hope, there lay a confrontation looming ahead. What truths would unfold as they ventured deeper? And would David's ambition withstand the increase of scrutiny? The pieces were in motion, ready to disrupt everything he thought he knew. David felt the weight of impending confrontation press on him as he left the cafe, his heart amplified by the promise of the future intertwined with anxiety. The streets were alive, each passerby oblivious to the tempest brewing within. As he walked, the sounds of the city danced around him. Car horns blared, people chattered, and laughter rang out, all while he was lost in thoughts circling back to Sarah's enthusiasm. But it wasn't just Sarah's excitement that echoed in his mind. The shadow of his past loomed larger now that he was stepping into the light with her. How many times had he let fear dictate his choices? The empty murmurs of self-doubt surfaced, presenting a familiar tableau of inadequacy. Every instinct urged him to retreat back into his shell, the place where he had tangled his dreams with regret. As he approached his apartment, the comfort of solitude beckoned, but David resisted the surrender. Instead, he reached for his laptop, ready to map out a plan. Ideas began to swirl like autumn leaves tossed about by the wind. He envisioned a campaign that would showcase the artistry of voices like Sarah's, weaving together narratives that challenged the status quo. Each time he typed, a new sense of ownership filled him, replacing the doubts that had once paralyzed him. This was his opportunity to become more than just a spectator. Midway through drafting his initial thoughts, David stopped. A deeper concern crept in. What if his connections, born from a world of power and prestige, turned into a vessel for his own ego? Could he build something genuine without coercion, without obfuscating the voices he aimed to uplift? Internal conflict toyed with him, prompting him to ask what it truly meant to support others authentically. The last of the sunlight slicked from the sky, casting shadows across his desk. David realized he had reached a critical juncture, where he must confront not only the daunting adversaries outside, but also the reflections of ambition within. He closed his laptop and took a moment to breathe, reminding himself that vulnerability was an ally, not a foe. The following days were a whirlwind of collaboration and strategy. Meetings with Sarah ignited passion within him like a dormant spark. They exchanged ideas, merged visions, and component by component began shaping something real. David was relentless, poring over spreadsheets by night, engaging in community discussions during the day, and forging tentative alliances with individuals who could illuminate Sarah's cause. But as their project progressed, whispers of doubt returned. David faced scrutiny within his newfound realm. Friends from his past questioned his motives. Was he trying to regain his lost glory or raise authentic voices? Each question exacerbated a tension he couldn't ignore. "David, what are you really hoping to achieve?" a former colleague would ask, probing beneath the surface. At these moments, he wrestled with his answer. Was he being authentic or simply parading a hollow facade, hoping to salvage his reputation? Driven by the need for clarity, he sought Sarah's wisdom during one of their late-night brainstorming sessions. "I worry I'm doing this for the wrong reasons," he confessed, his voice barely rising above the hush of the cafe. Sarah paused, her eyes swirling with understanding. "David, the fact that you're reflecting on this means you're on the right track. Authenticity begins with doubt. You're not the only one who feels this tension, but you have to trust your intent." As her words sank in, the reality crystallized. Transparent collaboration became his path to clarity. And amid the impending confrontation with external adversaries, he was compelled to confront the internal battlefield, the distinction between superficial motives and genuine intent. But as they worked closer to unveiling their project, the ominous presence of an unexpected antagonist began to surface, one whose impact could jeopardize everything they sought to accomplish. Little did David know, this confrontation would not only test his ambition, but also reveal the depths of his character. Could he silence the doubts and navigate the burgeoning darkness threatening to engulf their cause? With the lines drawn between past and future, one critical moment awaited, a turning point that could reshape everything once more. David's mind churned with uncertainty as he donned a meticulously crafted facade, prepared to face a week packed with pivotal meetings. Though every encounter was cloaked in optimism and strategy, a nagging whisper continued to taunt him. Could he genuinely elevate Sarah's project without compromising himself in the process? The question echoed through his mind as he stood before the mirror, adjusting his tie and mentally rehearsing responses crafted to deflect any probing inquiries. The morning air was crisp, invigorating yet piercing. Each breath felt like a simultaneous push towards purpose and an anchor of responsibility. He knew the stakes were higher than just his reputation. This was a chance to redefine success on his terms, but at what cost? During their first meeting of the week, he and Sarah convened with the creative team. The room buzzed with energy and ambition, ideas blossoming like wildflowers in the spring. David listened intently, channeling inspiration through each suggestion and detail discussed. As voices melded into a cohesive vision, a hint of satisfaction fluttered within him, a sliver of validation against the swirling doubts. But as the dialogue shifted to direct actions and decisions, the underlying tension resurfaced. When Sarah mentioned partnerships with established sponsors, a palpable shift took place. David's heart raced. The conversation veered dangerously close to commercialization. Were they risking the authenticity that Sarah fought so hard to preserve? Shouldn't we ensure we can maintain creative control? David interrupted, his voice revealing an unexpected urgency. What if we lose the essence of what we're trying to achieve? The room fell silent. Sarah's eyes locked onto his, a mix of skepticism and curiosity swirling within them. David felt exposed, laid bare before the team. Anticipating the bubbling resentment behind some colleagues' expressions, he reassured himself that standing firm was crucial, yet fear of sounding pedantic gnawed at him. After the meeting, Sarah pulled him aside, her brow furrowed. "You've got to trust the process, David. Collaboration might mean compromising some ideals, but that doesn't have to mean sacrificing our integrity." Caught off guard, he felt the heat rise to his cheeks. "I understand that, but what about the voices we're championing? If their stories become overshadowed by flashy partnerships?" "David," she interrupted with a gentleness that quelled his rising panic. "Don't you see? We can weave authenticity into our approach. By embracing these opportunities, we can elevate the very voices you care about." Her conviction resonated within him. He couldn't deny it. The balance between authenticity and ambition was delicate, and their next steps carried profound significance. As he walked home, the skyline piercing into the vivid twilight, a sudden clarity washed over him. He couldn't expect to build something meaningful if he viewed every external influence as a threat. Instead, collaboration could reshape their project into something far grander than his singular vision. Faced with an internal awakening, David decided he needed to overcome the fear of mistrust and embrace the potential of their alliances. He would draft a new proposal that retained the core message while integrating the excitement of those partnerships. If done correctly, this could forge a more robust platform for unheard voices. The night unfolded, lit only by the glow of his laptop screen, as thoughts spilled onto the digital page. In this moment of creation, his focus grew sharper, his resolve hardened. Yet even while crafting, remnants of trepidation slithered back, teasing him with reminders of the antagonistic forces lurking in the wings. As determined as he felt, David was acutely aware that each step forward could lead him closer or deeper into chaos. And the looming confrontational figure from his past, a shadow he could not fully identify yet, threatened to disrupt everything he was building. Would David rise above the doubts and external pressures, or would he find himself ensnared in the very trap he wished to dismantle? With realizations climaxing, a new revelation loomed just beyond the horizon. At the heart of this evolution lay a reckoning he wasn't entirely prepared for, one that could demand everything he thought he understood about leadership and authenticity. The doors of opportunity swung wide, but would David walk through them, or would they close before his eyes? The pulsating rhythm of his thoughts echoed within the walls of his small apartment as dawn broke. David's body felt charged, the residue of last night's revelation swirling in his mind. The proposal he had drafted was a patchwork of ideas, bold, experimental, yet faithful to the voices he held dear. The prospect of melding creativity with commercial viability felt both exhilarating and daunting. As he donned his shirt, the fabric clung to his skin, a metaphorical armor against the challenges of the day. Navigating the subway, there was a shift in how he perceived his fellow commuters. Each face seemed to carry a story, and once again he reflected on the depth buried in the lives surrounding him. He wasn't just elevating Sarah's project, he was attempting to breathe life into narratives often overlooked. The voices of the unheard weren't merely a concept, they were emotionally woven into the fabric of the community he now felt responsible for representing. Arriving at the office, David's pulse quickened. His teammates were mulling over various ideas, but a tension filled the air, as if they too sensed a reckoning looming. He scheduled a second meeting, determined to present his thoughts not just as a bystander, but as a partner in their shared vision. When the time arrived, David entered the room with a quiet confidence that felt almost foreign yet exhilarating. "Let's talk partnerships," he began, deliberately choosing a tone that was both assertive and inviting. He detailed his proposal, passion lending. Colleagues listened intently as he articulated a vision where brand sponsors could amplify their message without overshadowing authenticity. His hesitations melded into fervor, and he felt a shift in the room as skepticism gave way to intrigue. But when the question of creative control arose again, resistance surfaced. "We can't let these sponsors dictate our narrative," one colleague asserted, arms crossed defensively. David anticipated this moment. "I agree, but consider that enhancing our platform means we have more influence to protect that narrative." He drew on recent conversations, infusing his argument with newfound confidence. Yet, despite the rising momentum, doubt crept in. What if this was an elaborate plan leading to a loss of control? Would he truly navigate the balance between ambition and authenticity? Afterward, Sarah approached him in the corridor, her expression a mixture of respect and concern. "You did well today, but remember, every ally comes with their own agenda." Hollow feelings surged within him at the thought. Was he now vulnerable to manipulation? Navigating the waters of collaboration was daunting. Could he retain his values in the face of inevitable compromises? "Thanks, Sarah," he replied, struggling to align his internal narrative. "But how do we ensure we stick to our mission while forging these paths?" Their conversation flowed, and he began to appreciate her perspective more intently. Instead of viewing partnerships as threats, he had to redefine his role as a steward of integrity. As the days passed, David wrestled with this evolving mindset. Meetings became a battleground of ideas, pushing him to confront his fears, challenge assumptions, and articulate his vision with clarity. Each progressive strategy solidified a sense of purpose and community with his team, revealing uncharted aspects of his leadership capability. Yet still, the shadow of his past lurked ominously. The more David embraced vulnerability and collaboration, the more he sensed a growing fracture between his ideals and the mysterious specter of doubt. That night, he found himself grappling with a deeper truth. Had his past failure set limits on his potential? If there were hidden talents waiting to emerge, how could he uncover them in this fast-paced, high-stakes environment? Suddenly, a notification on his phone broke through his concentration, an invitation to meet with a prominent sponsor for further discussions. The notion filled him with a mixture of excitement and dread. The time had come to decide what path he would take. Would he confront the specter of his past or initiate a new chapter by fully embracing this opportunity? Each moment felt akin to a tightrope walk, and he wondered, could he master the balance, or would he fall into the void of his fears? David's breath caught in his throat as he stared at the screen, The glow of the notification almost blinding. The sponsor was a titan in the industry, their resources capable of catapulting his project to surprising heights. But this was not just a business meeting. It was a pivotal moment that felt more like a test of character. Could he walk this line without losing himself entirely? He spent the next day preparing for the meeting, a whirlwind of ideas swirling in his mind. Each strategy he devised presented a clash between his desire for authenticity and the commercial pressures that threatened to warp his vision. Late into the night, he scribbled notes, crossing out phrases that felt insincere and rewriting pitches that would resonate without sacrificing integrity. Doubt lingered, though. What if he failed to articulate his vision in a way that satisfied both the sponsor and his team? What if he ended up compromising the very ideals he was fighting for? As sleep eluded him, he found himself pacing the small living room, questioning everything he thought he knew about his ambitions. In the morning light, David approached the meeting room with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The sleek glass walls of the conference room felt like a stark contrast to the raw emotional energy he hoped to convey. The representatives from the sponsor company entered, their demeanor polished and professional, exuding a kind of power he felt he lacked at that moment. "Thank you all for being here," he began, taking a deep breath to steady his nerves. He launched into his pitch, weaving in stories that encapsulated the essence of the project, stories of people and their struggles to be seen. As he spoke, the tension in his body started to melt away. Passion ignited the words he uttered, pulling the audience in. For a brief moment, he felt invincible, as if the weight of all his uncertainties fell away. However, the atmosphere shifted sharply as one representative challenged him. "We can't support something that feels more like a charity. Your project must be a viable investment for us. How do you intend to make that happen?" The question struck him like a punch to the gut, but it opened a floodgate of clarity. "Investing in authentic narratives fosters stronger bonds with consumers," he said, heart pounding. "The emotional connection drives success. Sure, the quick wins have their allure, but in the long run, I believe that authenticity is the best strategy for sustainable growth." The conversation ground to a tense silence as they absorbed his words. David's heart raced with apprehension. Would they dismiss his vision as naive? What followed, though, was unexpected. They began to push back, citing the need for metrics, processes, and guarantees. The tension in the room thickened. He could feel it coiling around them like a serpent. In that moment, he realized that this wasn't merely about proving his concept. It was about defending his integrity. "I understand the business side, but if we cater solely to trends, we risk losing the essence of what connects us to our audience," he countered. The vulnerability that had been stifling him transformed into a steely determination. It was a pivotal acknowledgement of who he was and what he valued. Emerging from the meeting, he felt a mix of exhilaration and exhaustion. While the conversation had been fraught with challenges, he had held steadfast. He'd successfully advocated for something beyond numbers, the importance of stories that resonated on a human level. Yet, doubt flickered again in the corners of his mind. Had he overstepped? Would this assertiveness lead to pushback or ostracization from his team? It was a small victory, but would it harden the fractures he sensed? As he reached for his phone, another notification blinked into existence. An email thread from Sarah discussing the backlash his proposal had received. The words on the screen loomed ominously, filling him with anticipation and worry. Now he had to strategize once more, this time not just to defend his vision, but to unite his team behind it. What would this new challenge uncover about him? Would he rally them or find himself isolated once again in a world of voices unwilling to listen? David read through Sarah's email meticulously, absorbing her critical points as if they were lifebuoys in a stormy sea. The backlash was far worse than he anticipated. His colleagues were understandably apprehensive about potential risks involved in his push for authenticity. What initially seemed like a calculated move now felt increasingly reckless, a gamble that could jeopardize not just his project, but his standing within the team. He stared at the words on the screen, the carefully constructed sentences dripping with concerns. "We cannot risk the company's reputation," one line echoed in his thoughts. "The market is unforgiving," another warned. He could feel the weight of their fears pressing against him like a tangible force, and for a moment he teetered on the edge of self-doubt. Had he failed them before he even had a chance to succeed? Determined to confront the rising tide of worries, David arranged an impromptu team meeting. The atmosphere was palpable with uncertainty as he entered the conference room. Each face reflected an amalgamation of skepticism and concern, their trust in him hanging by a thread. He needed to navigate this moment with both understanding and conviction. He took a deep breath, reaching for a calm center where vulnerability met strength. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," he started, his voice steady despite the roiling emotions beneath. "I understand that my proposal has raised alarm bells, and while I believe in the vision I shared, I also believe in us, our team, our capabilities. But I need your support to ensure that we bring this to life without risking what we've built together." As he spoke, he observed their expressions shift from defensiveness to earnest engagement. He recognized in their eyes a reflection of his own fears and aspirations. He needed to bridge the disconnect between his vision and their pragmatic realities. David began to outline his ideas for addressing their concerns. "How about we incorporate measurable outcomes alongside our narrative strategies? We can set benchmarks that not only track engagement, but also showcase how authenticity can lead to increased loyalty and, ultimately, profitability." He watched as they began to nod, reassured by the blend of creativity and accountability. Then came the challenge. Sarah raised her hand, eyeing him intently. "I appreciate your passion, David, but what if our numbers don't pan out? We'll be held accountable, and we can't afford those kinds of risks right now." He felt the tough confrontation ignite something within him, a fire he had suppressed in the face of their skepticism. He needed to own what he believed. And what if, by sticking to the metrics alone, we lose touch with the very thing that makes us relevant? Authentic stories can pivot us into spaces where traditional marketing fails. This isn't just a risk, it's an opportunity to evolve. As he defended his position, he watched a flicker of recognition pass among his colleagues. The tension began to dissolve, replaced by a shared understanding that perhaps this wasn't just about him pushing his ideas. It was about collaborating to reshape the narrative together, constructing a platform fortified by mutual trust rather than skepticism. By the end of the meeting, they were brainstorming innovative ways to present the project that satisfied both the emotional storytelling and the practical metrics. They felt like a team again, coalescing around a shared purpose, their collective strength surfacing in the exchange. But as he walked out, exhilaration gave way to a new doubt. Could he keep this momentum going? Confident steps turned tentative as David contemplated the next phase of his journey. How would he maintain this fragile equilibrium between authenticity and pragmatism? The challenge loomed larger now, a beast waiting to be tamed. As more emails trickled into his inbox, he scanned one from the sponsors, indicating they wanted to meet again to discuss his proposal in light of the feedback. Would he be able to protect his vision while appeasing their demand for concrete results? The stakes were rising, and the true test of his leadership was only just beginning. Would he be able to embrace this new twist, or was he destined to lose ground before he even gained it? As David sat at his desk, the looming meeting with the sponsors swirled in his mind like storm clouds, threatening to unleash a torrent of pressure. He felt an undeniable pulse of anxiety in his chest, both a reminder of the stakes involved and a manifestation of his own uncertainty. This wasn't just about numbers anymore. It was about crafting a narrative that felt authentic amid the clamor for results. Setting a deadline for himself, he took out a notepad and began to write down key points he wanted to cover. Articulate vision, measurable outcomes, team commitment. With each phrase, his confidence began to solidify, like the iron band of determination wrapping around his self-doubt. But underneath that confidence lingered a disquieting whisper. What if he failed to execute? What if he faltered again? He couldn't ignore those thoughts during the meeting. The sponsors occupied the room, their expressions unreadable. As they exchanged glances, David swallowed hard before he began his presentation, feeling all eyes locked onto him like a spotlight revealing both his brilliance and his vulnerability. Leaving no room for hesitation, he dove into his proposal, painting a vivid picture of a strategy that fused engaging storytelling with hard metrics. But as he advanced through the slides, a specter of doubt clawed at him. The sponsors leaned forward, their skepticism etched in their brows, their apprehension palpable. This was not just an opportunity for David's growth. It was a trial of his leadership. Whatever success or failure he experienced would ripple back to his team, influenced by his decisions. He steered through their questions, not allowing himself to get flustered. One sponsor, a seasoned executive with a reputation for ruthlessness, pressed him. These emotional narratives you're advocating for, how do you predict that they'll resonate with a market concerned solely with numbers? At that moment, the silence in the room thickened. David's heart raced. This was it. The critical moment where he could either reaffirm his conviction or sink back into safe answers devoid of authenticity. He felt a fire ignite inside him, urging him to reject the urge to retreat. What we need to acknowledge, he said, swallowing the fear gripping his throat, is that connecting with our audiences on an emotional level is becoming increasingly essential. Numbers tell a part of the story, but they don't encompass the entire narrative. By intertwining data and storytelling, we not only spotlight our achievements, but also create relationships that endure. The room fell still as his words hung in the air. He waited, daring to maintain eye contact, hoping for a reaction. To his astonishment, the executive's posture shifted slightly. Curiosity peeked through his dispassionate facade. "Let's say we buy into your vision," the executive replied, "but how do we communicate that to stakeholders accustomed to hard data?" Punching the weight of his ideas into actionable steps, David proposed a dual approach, utilizing pilot campaigns to test narratives in tandem with quantitative analysis. It was a calculated gamble, a synthesis of creativity and metrics. And to his surprise, the room began to murmur as they engaged with his proposition. The tension dimmed, replaced by a palpable sense of possibility. He could almost see the wheels turning in their heads as they considered the merit of his plan, shifting from disdain to intrigue. This was the moment of truth that David had needed, a realization that his passion for authenticity could indeed find harmony with their desire for accountability. When the meeting concluded, applause broke out, and the atmosphere became electric with potential. They agreed to revisit their collaboration under David's blended strategy, a plan that was now at least partially his own. An intricate dance between creativity and operational demand. Yet, even amid this victory, a pang of anxiety sliced through him. He recognized that while he had steered the meeting to a favorable outcome, the real test lay in the implementation of their proposition. Vision. Could he sustain the balance between these differing priorities? As David walked out, buoyed by a wave of cautious optimism, another email caught his eye. It was from Sarah, a follow-up to their last meeting, asking if they could discuss further how to weave in their original goals without losing sight of the narrative vision. That invitation felt both like a lifeline and a challenge. How could he integrate her ideas and maintain the authenticity he had advocated for? The new dimension of collaboration awaited him, and with it, the potential for transformative growth. David felt a renewed grip of determination as he faced another pivotal moment ahead. Would he be able to navigate these waters without compromising his hard-won vision, or would he face yet another setback on his journey? David stared at the email notification, its content triggering a blend of anticipation and dread. Sarah's request for a follow-up could either enhance his budding professional vision or unravel it entirely. At this crossroads, the next few days would shape not just his immediate objectives, but perhaps his understanding of collaboration itself. As the sun set on a long day, David found himself at a cafe, nervously tapping his foot beneath the table, lost in thought. How could he merge their original goals with the compelling narrative he had proposed? He felt like a chess player contemplating his next move, aware that one misstep could jeopardize his hard-fought victory. Their meeting finally arrived, and as Sarah walked through the door, David noticed the strain in her features. She carried a notepad brimming with ideas, yet there was an unusual hesitance in her stride. Was she feeling the weight of her responsibility too? "Thanks for meeting me," David said, attempting to put them both at ease. "I think we have a really exciting opportunity ahead of us." Sarah nodded, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of concern. "I hope so, David. I'm really anxious about aligning our original goals with your new narrative approach. What if we dilute our brand by trying to become something we're not?" Her words echoed in David's mind, familiar doubts resurfacing alongside a new determination. This was his chance, not just to advocate for his vision, but to listen and adapt. "I understand your concerns. I've learned that authenticity doesn't require us to abandon what we started. Instead, we can refine it." As they conversed, the ideas evolved through a lively back and forth, each proposal followed by thoughtful questions that dug deeper into their creative bones. David's earlier worries began to dissolve. This was not about compromising vision, it was about expanding it. What if we used our narrative to highlight our core values, something that resonates with our audience but stays true to our mission, he suggested, feeling his confidence grow with each word. Sarah's demeanor began to shift. Yes, if we frame our story as a commitment to our values while integrating metrics, we can show how both can coexist. Their collaboration became a collaborative dance, each idea erasing barriers that had once divided their concepts. As they sketched strategies on napkins and shared insights that illuminated the path ahead, David discovered a new layer of his capabilities. He was not just a leader, but a facilitator, capable of weaving different threads into a cohesive fabric. By the end of their meeting, a renewed sense of purpose saturated the air. They agreed upon key principles that would guide their approach, combining measurable goals with impactful storytelling, ensuring they did not lose sight of what mattered most. The challenge had transformed into an exhilarating prospect, unlocking not just Sarah's potential, but his own. Walking away, David knew that they had crossed an important threshold. The strategies they had coalesced felt like an evolution, one that would not only yield results, but might also foster a deeper connection with their audience. But as he stepped onto the street, a sinking realization hit him. While he had crafted a plan rooted in collaboration, he now needed to share this united vision with his entire team. Would they embrace this new direction and see it through, or would he find resistance lurking in their ranks? With uncertainty gnawing at his resolve, he understood. The next phase of his journey would not be easy. Relationships, once rebuilt, had to be reinforced with trust and shared commitment. The challenge lay in uniting his team around this fresh inspiration, a task that could either cement his leadership or reveal shadows of hesitation. As David prepared for this new endeavor, he felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. The moment to confront resistance had arrived, and he sensed it would demand not only creativity, but also courage. David stood before his team, the air crackling with anticipation as he prepared to unveil the collaborative vision he and Sarah had sculpted. There was no going back. This moment would either solidify his leadership or expose cracks in the foundation he had worked so hard to mend. Their eyes reflected a spectrum of emotions: curiosity, skepticism, and a glimmer of hope. "Thank you all for being here," David began, his voice steady yet infused with a sense of urgency. "I've been reflecting on our project's direction and the recent discussions we've had about authenticity versus measurable outcomes. Today, I want to share how we've approached this to create a unified vision." As he laid out the vision, detailing how Sarah's artistic integrity seamlessly blended with the quantitative goals of their project, he watched the tension in the room gradually shift. By weaving together data analytics with authentic storytelling, he illustrated a strategy designed to resonate both emotionally and financially. "We can forge a narrative that resonates with our audience without sacrificing our core values," David asserted, passion igniting his words. "The goal is not just to sell a product, but to create ongoing conversations that elevate the voices we set out to champion." The atmosphere in the room softened as David continued, listening to feedback, inviting questions, and finding the pulse of shared concern. He could sense walls begin to lower. Colleagues started to chime in, offering support for an approach that, while ambitious, now felt anchored in purpose. This was a pivotal transformation, not only for their project, but for David himself. Each inquiry from his teammates became an essential piece of a larger puzzle. The room felt charged with potential, exhibiting the unmistakable signs of a team rediscovering their collective strength. "David," one colleague proposed, "what if we incorporate a sustainability metric to show how our impact can extend beyond the immediate project? We can't just measure success in numbers. We need to account for the voices we're amplifying." A ripple of excitement coursed through the team. The conversation shifted from doubt to enthusiasm, from individual concerns to collective ambition. David watched as recognition blossomed on their faces. They were unified in their commitment. "I love that idea," he replied, heart racing. This was what he needed, the validation that they were not only embracing his vision, but also expanding it into something greater. This was the synergy that David had longed for. But even amid triumph, an underlying tension still loomed. His past began whispering again. Was he truly capable of leading them this way, ensuring every voice was included and nurturing authentic collaboration? Or would he slip, faltering under the weight of expectations, tainted by old fears? David silenced those whispers and concentrated on the present moment. He looked around the room, locking eyes with Sarah, who smiled approvingly. They were on this journey together, firmly rooted in a shared commitment to guiding one another. Hours later, exhilaration lingered in the air as they wrapped up the meeting. David could see the energy pulsing through his team, their faces animated with the thrill of possibility. This new direction felt daring yet grounded, charging through the collective desire to uplift others and make a true impact. The whispers of self-doubt began to quiet. The future of their project seemed to embody everything he aspired to achieve. That night, David reflected on how far he had come. Once a man cloaked in shadows, paralyzed by fear, he now stood not just as a leader, but as a collaborative force, unexpected yet empowering. He felt the joy of rediscovering his purpose, crafted through honesty and shared vision. Claiming this new position wasn't easy, and potential obstacles still lurked. But David embraced these challenges with confidence. As he prepared to reach out to the sponsors, he felt an echo of determination coursing through him. He would advocate fiercely for their project, ensuring every narrative was honored. The next day, he composed an email to the sponsors, detailing the enriched strategy they had created. Sharing the teamwork behind this approach reinforced a vision with integrity. He attached a multimedia presentation showcasing the forthcoming pilot campaign that balanced vibrant narratives with solid metrics, visuals of impact interwoven with personal stories that mattered. As he hit send, a wave of satisfaction washed over him. David had not only transformed himself, he had actively reshaped his surroundings, igniting a new energy that inspired others. In doing so, he had shifted from entrapment to empowerment. Weeks later, as feedback flooded in and preliminary results began to appear, David found himself basking in the validation of their efforts. The campaign resonated powerfully, the metrics aligned with their story, and the promise of impact became tangible. The culmination of their work marked not just a professional milestone, but heralded David's rebirth into a world no longer cloaked in darkness. The gratitude from his team, the recognition from the community, and the goodwill exchanged throughout the process filled him with unparalleled satisfaction. David was no longer a man haunted by his past. He emerged as a capable leader poised to forge new paths rooted in collaboration and authenticity. His achievement was profound, not just in the project's success, but in the deep fulfillment of realizing what true connection could accomplish. Now he stood confidently ready for the challenges ahead. As he looked out over the bustling city below, engaged in its limitless stories, he embraced the thrill of the journey ahead, where darkness was both light and his past was an ever-steady anchor, guiding him to his next horizon. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. You need to subscribe now, as only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.